we're going to be speaking about self-actualization, okay, and how it relates to not only our Orisha tradition, but more importantly, our West African thought construct. Okay, I know a lot of times when we speak about the thoughts and the ideas from Africa, we speak about philosophy. But I tend to stay away from the word philosophy because sometimes through our over-philosophizing, we produce nothing. So if I can call it calculation, then maybe it will equate to something that we will actually apply to our lives. Okay, is anyone here familiar with West African tradition? You know, and the reason I say West African tradition, even though I was initiated in a system that is mainly derived from the Yoruba land, which is a part of Nigeria, in reality, all along that area, there are traditions that are very similar. They're called different things. The entities are called by different names. The Almighty Supremes are called by different names. But the rituals and the movements are practically identical. So I have no interest in localizing myself to one part of Africa, one part of Nigeria, one part of the world. So whatever it is that I learn, I seek to figure out a way to apply it to where I'm at. Okay, so, but West African thought is different than East African thought. It's slightly different than Central African thought when you're dealing with the Congo traditions, or South African thought, or North African thought. But what you will find amongst all the systems is that the culture is the same. The culture is the same. The cultural imperative is the same, no matter where you go in Africa. It's just expressed differently because of the various ethnic groups, but it's one culture. Okay, so if you go to South and you deal with Sangoma tradition, okay, you will find that the Sangoma tradition, the work that they do mirrors so much of what we do in the Church of Shango. Sangoma even means those who bend energy and fire and live inside of the drum. That's what Sangoma means, those from the drum who bend energy and fire. Now Shango, spelled S-A-N-G-O, there's a little dot under the S, and the little dot makes it sh, as opposed to s. Shango is what we call an Orisha, and I bet most of you have heard his name before, because he's so popular. Yeah, everybody wants to be Shango. Shango Macho, right, exactly. Chango. And they say Chango Macho in Latin countries because in Latin countries they never pronounce sh, it's ch. So if you ever see Chango, they're speaking about the same person. They just have a thing with sh for some reason. They also don't pronounce J's. So instead of Yemoja, they say Yemonya. Same person. Okay, they just don't like J's. They don't like J's and they don't like sh's. Alright? But it's the same thing. So this is why I say we're dealing with calculation, global calculation and thought, because it expresses itself differently depending on where you're coming from. Okay? In South Africa, again, with the Sangoma tradition, we're dealing more with Egum, or what they call the Lotis. But it's all Shango work. If you go to the Caribbean, you have the Shango Baptist Church. I have a lot of family in the Caribbean, and many of them are in the Shango Baptist churches. And they all have pretty much a similar disposition. Lots of children, lots of fighting, lots of partying. And some of them don't know Shango, from Lil Wayne. But the energy is still there. They still have the vibration. I had a lot of family who lived on the island of Montserrat. Everybody's familiar with Montserrat. In the 90s, early 90s, there was a volcano that exploded on Montserrat. They had to half the island is still shut down because of the volcano. And a lot of my family dispersed after that. But all around the Caribbean, my family lives around volcanoes. Okay? So that gave me some clues as to my own nature. You see? And to some clues as to Shango's nature and Aganju's nature. Okay, so Shango is an Orisha. Anybody ever heard the term Orisha? Okay. Okay. What is an Orisha?
Basically, it's a deity or a force of nature.
Okay, good, exactly. An Orisha, as he said, is a deity or a force of nature. What is a deity?
A god or godlike figure.
A god or a god-like figure. Excellent. Okay. Now, all gods are god-like figures. All of them. All gods are godlike. That's why you call them gods. Because you didn't know what it was, but you knew it was bigger and badder than you, so you called it a god. And most of the time you call something a god because you're lonely. It gets lonely when you don't know who to pray to. So you look at something and you say, you must be God because you're consistent like my mother was. You see, you rise and you fall every day, you come out every night, you shine light. The river always runs. It's just these laws, they seem to be, static. And mommy was always there. When I cried, mommy would come and feed me. She would come nurse me. And I miss mommy, so now I need a God. So we create gods. Okay, so all gods are God-like. They're not actually gods. Okay. The Orisha are not gods. Now you might say, the Orisha are not gods, but I know the Necharu are. Because when I go to Kemet, and I work with Haru, and I work with Sobek, and I work with Osset and Osset, I know those are gods. No, the Necharu are not gods either. In fact, calling an Orisha a god, or a Necharu a god, is an insult to that force. You're insulting. Where does God live?
Okay.
Everybody said in here, right? Good. Now, you're giving the good answers. You wouldn't have gave me that good answer if I didn't say what I just said. I know that. We tend to hold back our good stuff until we know who's in the room. You say, what, let me not come with the standard. Because he's going to get me. Yeah, I got a lot of Eshu in me too. So I will play tricks on you throughout this discussion. God lives internally. God is inside. And you know what's so interesting about how God formulates itself? Every single person in this room looks familiar to me. And I don't say that whenever I speak. I could almost pause the camera and tell you that. Literally, everyone who came in, yeah. So that tells me something. There's something interesting going on in the room right now. And then, of course, downstairs, you said, I think we know each other. See how God forms itself? So, where does God live again? Internally. I thought God lived in heaven. Doesn't God live in heaven? You let my cousin Larry. Larry's been missing since. Larry disappeared, I think, in 85, 86. Larry's a genius. He wrote this program for IBM. And he made millions of dollars and then disappeared. Never saw him again. He said he went to go find himself. And I swear he looked just like Larry. This is going to be a very interesting talk for all of us. This is going to be very interesting. Okay, so I thought God lived in heaven. Yeah, I'm on you.
Where's heaven?
There is no heaven. Heaven's here. Okay.
It's a higher vibration.
It's a higher vibration. Okay. So, can we say that maybe God doesn't live in heaven, but heaven lives in God? Because you cannot localize the Almighty. How can you put the Almighty in a house? That's almost as silly as trying to put an alien in a spaceship. Oh, you think because we're so primitive and we need Impalas and Benzes to get around, that everything else in the universe needs a scooter and a chocho or a bus? That's why you put God in heaven. That's why you made Orishas God, because you localized them to your thought and understanding. So you made them small. Just like you made the alien small. If I need something to get around in, so do you. That's crazy. That's just crazy talk. Bahamas. At least 7 of you went with me just now. I know you did. At least I see the head nods. We went there just now.
Yeah.
The fastest thing in the cosmos is thought. Nothing moves faster than thought. It's faster than the speed of light, which is the fastest thing that we've been able to discover so far in that way of thinking. I mean, even sound moves at 1,120 feet per second. That's fast. Thought is infinitely faster than that. Because as soon as I say Bahamas, a few of you were there, buying some watermelon off the back of a truck.
Eating some conch salad.
Or some conch, there we go. So that means we must have been together, because my mind went to conch. Okay? So, God is everywhere. Right? God is nowhere. Right? There's some people who have mastered that and gave us a little hint to that. I figured out what and where God was when I started engaging in more serious relationships with women. I figured it out. You know, I'd be sitting there working on some music or something, and it's mostly musician. And maybe my lady would come into the room and want to talk about something I don't care anything about. Nothing. I'm there, but I'm not there. You see how man reflects God's nature in ways that we don't even think about it. You know, and she's still going. Now, how could I be listening to you and playing the piano at the same time and writing down lyrics? But yeah, I'm listening about, I don't even know what it was about, because I've never listened ever. Hey, you know, I told you it would be an interesting talk. You know, so our understanding of Orisha is just this. Now let's get down to some basic definitions, because some said they were somewhat familiar. So after today, you'll be very familiar with the Orisha. And after today, you'll actually know how to work with them. When I speak, I'm not so big on speaking so that you can become real deep. I don't care how deep you get. That's not important to me. And in fact, I'm not even speaking for you. I don't care how powerful you get. I could care less. Just so you know, I care how powerful she gets. Alright? It's not impressive when adults can do magic and know deep stuff. We're supposed to be able to do something after all this time. Okay, that's not impressive. And for the most part, our job is going to be to tell them the story. And they're going to go build the empires and build the nations. Okay? So I'm just really speaking to you all, and I'm trusting that you will be good mediators of this intellectual wealth that I am now imparting to you. And you will mediate and pass it off to the active forces on the planet. I know it may come as a blow to some of you, you know, but either way, you can still do what you want with the information. But just so you know, my expectations are not for you. I do this for children. I don't even like teaching adults all that much, actually, because when you start talking, the first thing they do, when you're saying something that they really digging and getting with, they do this. As soon as you tell them something that's uncomfortable, ain't doing that. You know, children just, really? I can fly? Igbo landing? My ancestors flew back home? Really? Yeah. I can't do it. I'm too heavy now, but you can still do it. I'm too heavy in ego. Forget the 250 pounds. It's the ego. Nah, I think too much of myself now to be able to fly. I'm unwilling to become a fool now to be able to fly. You know, only fools get into heaven. Because the fool is willing to strip ego at any moment and be completely pure and vulnerable. That's the fool. That's that shoe. in our tradition. Some may call him Ileto, but you'll understand who it is after we're done. So in Orisha, when we look at the word Orisha, it's comprised of 2 words. And remember, you can ask questions at any time. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen now. All right, I got you.
A-R-I-S-H.
1 second. I'm going to get you. No, I'm going to get you. Just so I got to give everybody a warning. What happens is I tend to ramp up when I do workshops and lectures. Okay, if anybody's ever heard me on the radio show, you've heard this. I speak very slowly, very... Dana Delancey. No, I just recognize it. Okay. I tend to speak very slowly in the beginning, and then by midpoint, I'm not frothing at the mouth, but I'm, for me, it may not, you may not sound that excited, but this is about as animated as I get. So for me, this is a lot. And then it goes back to, all right, that has been our segment. So the same thing happens when I do workshops. I tend to ramp up. And then what happens is, you see how I'm speaking now, I'm going to start hitting you with a flood of information. And then everyone's going to wait to hold their questions to the end. And you're not going to get all your questions in. So at any moment, break, say, hey, I got a question. It's okay. It won't mess up my flow. Orisha. 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 That is, Orisha is the wrong spelling for Orisha. You did write that, right? It's wrong.
It's wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. I speak slow sometimes. I didn't get to Orisa with the dot under the S. Because when you spell things wrong, sometimes you miss what's going on. And I know it's not so critical because in our tradition it's mainly oral anyway, But even orally, though the tradition and the language has been perverted, invaded, intruded upon, warped, distorted, there's still some stuff left in it. Kind of like the Bible. So Orisha is comprised of 2 words. Ori and Sha. Ori is O-R-I. Sha is S-A. Remember the dot makes it sh. S-A. Ori means head. That. Ori, head. Or consciousness.
Is that where aura is derived from?
Good question, but I would say not based on what an aura is. No. But good question. Because or means to hold or to bring back. And Ra means original. And when we're dealing with original, it's also the understanding of light. So to bring the original back, the aura represents you trapped inside of a body and the resonating fields that are still generated because of the trap. It's like you being inside of a bag but still punching at it from the inside. That's your aura. Sometimes your punches are soft, so you have a short auric field. Sometimes it's, you're throwing them hard, you have a big auric field. But good question. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully everything I tell you today, next year, it'll all be wrong, and I would have completely contradicted myself. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for 2 things by the time I'm done. I'm aiming to completely contradict myself by next year, and I'm also aiming to completely destroy all of you in the room. Just break you down to nothing. Just angle, twist, complete acid. So, he's saying, is he going to explain that one? Nah, you'll understand by the time we're done. So, Orisha, Ori is consciousness. Sha means to be seated or selected. So, Orisha is either a selected head or a selected consciousness. That's an Orisha. Okay? Everybody here know what consciousness is? Anybody here not know what consciousness is? Okay.
because I think I know, but maybe not.
Don't worry, everybody feels the same way, they just didn't want to say it because of ego. I could feel it. Consciousness, to make it real simple, your brain works on automatic function, your flesh brain. Okay, so there's a difference between your brain and your mind, right? Okay, if I go like this in front of one of you, you'll do that. You'll flinch because you don't want to die. There's always a fear of dying, so that's why babies flinch when you come near them. They think you're going to kill them. Okay, and then we keep that. Okay, that is a product of your flesh brain. Okay, that's not your consciousness. In Kemet or Egypt, we called that Set. That was the brain. Set was the archetype over materialism. Your brain is what enforces your attachments to material things. That's my lady. That's my man. It's only because that's what you're thinking. That's just a person and you're a person. The only thing that solidifies the contract between you is a thought that you share. Sometimes you're not even sharing that thought. You don't find out till later. Breach of contract. So now what sits above that automatic flesh function is consciousness. Consciousness is that which observes the brain in action. When Smokey Robinson said, "My mind's playing tricks on me," it was just my imagination, I'm sorry. He's saying it's just my imagination running away again. So he's able to observe my brain is doing something. But how could the brain observe itself? It can't. Consciousness observes the brain. That's that spiritual thought, or the spiritual CPU, or the spiritual intellect. Okay? Now, everything has consciousness. Sometimes we have this term that we use called the conscious community. Anybody ever heard that term?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we know the conscious community is one of the most ragtag band of misfits that you can find this way south of the Mason-Dixon. Okay? And that's for several reasons. Some of which you'll understand when we're done. But everyone is conscious. Everyone. Okay? Even Uncle Pookie, Auntie Nene, you know, Big Mama, Big Papa, you know, Ashra Kwesi, Dr. Ben. They're all conscious. It's just that some can articulate the contracts of their consciousness better than others. That's all. But they're all conscious. You can't take that away from people because you read a book. Alright? And now you're religious. You know, you want to look at everybody else. Hey, have you heard the good news? Osiris has arisen. Because that's basically what it is. You're just doing that over. You just change the faces and names. It's not amen all the time. Now it's Ashe. It's not, oh Lord, it's the ancestors. It's the same thing, you know. You see how crazy it is? I'm going to show you how crazy that community is. That community is so crazy that I'm not even trying to be funny right now. I'm actually speaking about what I encounter. I can be funny. I'm good at it, but I'm not even trying to be funny. But you see how crazy it is? You have to laugh at it. You see, it's that crazy. So, consciousness, everyone holds. Everyone has. Now, some people have the ability to recognize when it's their thoughts, their internal community better than others. That's when we're developing our consciousness, when we know where our actions are coming from. We're consciously creating our life. Okay? That's the conscious community. Those who are consciously creating life. Was your hand up?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Okay. So, the Orisha are selected consciousness. And these consciousness govern and sustain the forces of the cosmos. Not just nature, but the cosmos. Okay? But more importantly, I want you to understand something about Orisha. They're not superheroes. Okay? I know we want them to be a lot of times. We want them to be superheroes or we want them to be cartoon characters. They're neither. What they are, they're cosmic math. They're formulas. Now, you have a consciousness, you have a consciousness, you have a consciousness. So if the Orisha are selected consciousness, whose consciousness are they?
It's all one consciousness.
Yours?
Ours.
You sure? Tell me why.
Because you said that they are selected head, so if it's part of my consciousness, Orisha is a part of me. Orisha is a part of everyone.
Okay. So your consciousness is something that you possess, you own. So then can we say, based on what you're saying, I'm not saying you're right or wrong,
Okay.
in a sense you own the Orisha.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that? Blasphemy? Is it blasphemous?
100%.
Telling you then, I think you might be on your own on that one.
Well, you said that God is, you said God is not, God is within us, right?
Hey, I'm with you.
Oh,
I'm trying to get it, you know.
I don't hear anyone disagree with him. And
But
to be honest,
what did you feel in the room?
what did I feel?
Yeah.
Actually, I agree with him.
Uh-huh.
I really-
But I felt this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I felt that. I ain't touching that. Because I can get through my life without thinking that. I'll still be all right. I don't need that. Because I'm afraid. Because they might hurt me. Ori. Okay, let's get into it. We have a substance in our Yoruba tradition called Emi. E-M-I. E's in Yoruba pronounced like eh. Okay? Eh-mi. Eh-mi, in its regular form, means breath. In its real form, it means divine breath. There's something very important for you to understand about the Yoruba language, and that's that it's a temple language. Okay? So all of the words, they have what we call a romantic subcontext. That means they mean, first of all, they mean like 10 different things depending on how you pronounce them. It's a very confusing language. And it just speaks to the genius of the Yoruba people. You pronounce it this way, it means that way, that. It's all tonal. Because it's all interacting with nature. Okay, it's not about these letters spell this, so this is what it must be. So Emi means divine breath. That same divine breath that you read about probably in the Bible, Genesis. God blew his breath into man, man became a living soul. You all remember that, right? Everybody's with that. Yes. You guys didn't look at the flyer before you know what we're talking about, right? Talk about the church stuff, everybody's there with me, you know. So, in our tradition, what we call our supreme, our defined supreme being. This is important for those of you writing notes. Note the fact that I said defined. Supreme being is Olodumare. Defined Olodumare. Yes.
Oh.
Now, even though Olodumare is defined, we still don't really work with Olodumare. And I'll tell you why. It's going to be some more scary stuff, you know? But let's get back to the divine breath aspect. So, divine breath, Emi, is the breath of Olodumare. Okay? And at one point, everything was Emi. Everything was Emi. It was breath. I'll take it back to your Bible. You look down onto the face of the waters, and it was void. It was darkness. Okay? And at that time, they had what they called the prince of the air lived there. That was what you call now Satan. Okay? But the void, the darkness, okay, that was undifferentiated matter. Okay? In this tradition, we call that Oduduwa. It is the source of all power, omnipotency. Okay? So, the divine breath that we're speaking about, that was breathed into man and man became a soul, okay, is the same Emi that in our tradition, it says that Olodumare breathed into the heads of people before they came here to this reality. Okay? Everyone follow me so far? Okay. Orisha means what again?
Deity.
God-like.
Oh,
Selected
I'm sorry. Cosmic
It
math.
could.
Cosmic math.
It could be a deity.
Yeah.
Because your deities or your gods are whatever influences you.
Right.
So if you want them to be deities, they can be deities. But because there's streams of consciousness, I'm more concerned about the origin point of the stream. I'm less concerned about the after effect. This is why when you go around the world, you have different archetypes and energies that represent the same thing. Wherever you go, you got love goddesses. Wherever you go, you got tricksters. You have archetypes of militancy. It's not just localized to Europe. But why? Because these forces emanate in their streams and cognition that emanate throughout the world. We just call them something different when we encounter them each time. We may call it Ogun. We may call it Hercules. We may call it 50 Cent. We may call it Suge Knight. We may call it Zarabanda. We may call it many different things. We may call it Oshun. We may call it Het Haru. We may call it Pravati. We may call it Beyonce. We may call it Lakshmi. We may call it many things. They're all streams of cognition. Okay? So when that stream comes down, you know, it people see it. They see it from a distance. They say, it's this. No, it's this. It's this. And all the fingers are pointing up. In some traditions, we call that, those fingers pointing up, looking at those different angles of that same energy, we call it angels. The original pronunciation of angels was angel. They changed it. Because if it hadn't been changed, you might have figured something out. So if I follow this angle, where will it take me? Let's say if I just totally encapsulate the energy of Raphael or Israel or Mikael. If I just be that. If that's an angle, what is it an angle of? Now we said that angels are angels of God, right? So if I'm looking at this angle of God, is it possible for me to follow the constructs and the parameters of this angle and go meet God? Okay. So we got to change the spelling. Because we can't have that happening. That almost happened when they tried to build that tower. We had to confuse their language. So, confuse language, change the spelling. So we have this breath that was breathed into your head, which made you a portion of Olodumare. So in fact, you are the supreme being walking on the planet. We got that?
Oh yeah.
You with me? Okay. He just came in, he's right, look. So I see what section this is now. Okay, he's right there with us. So you are a portion, and more importantly, you are a negation of Olodumare walking on the planet.
A negation?
A
Yeah, what do you
negation.
mean by that?
Uh-huh. Things that are negative are what?
Negative.
Lower.
Lower? Lower like what? What do you mean?
Low
Vibration.
Lower vibration? And things that are positive are higher vibration, you're saying? Okay. No, you know that's wrong. I know why you said it. You knew it was wrong, but you said it so that they would get the wrong information. And I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You know the right answer. I know you know. You know what he's doing. He said it's lower, but what he's saying, he's trying to explain to you. You guys are not listening, and I understand your frustration. He's trying to explain to you the nature of a battery so you can understand positive from negative. You hold a Duracell up, the negative part is on the bottom, positive on the top. It's lower and it's higher. That's what you were saying. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Okay. But what he's also trying to say, because when we say negative, we always think it's something bad, right? But what he was trying to explain to you, that if you understand the construct of electricity, and more specifically a battery, it is the negative current where all the power is. The battery is not powered by the positive current, it's powered by the negative current. The positive current directs the current flow inside of the battery. The positive current has no power, it just directs. Cousin Larry's a genius. I told you. Yes, sir.
Does that have something related? Because I hear a lot where a lot of people call us chaos beings. Does that have something to do with that too?
No, not really. Chaos is God is chaos. We're not really chaos beings. We're order beings, and that's why we're so messed up.
And what is order? I've never heard that.
Right. That God is chaos. Oh, God is all over the place. God is it's a mess. Man brings order to God's chaos. But it is only through chaos that you can create. You can't create from order. You can only create from chaos. So God is just a chaotic mess. But do not confuse chaos with confusion. It's not confused. It's just chaos. Like jazz music. Just like jazz. You want to learn you want to learn chaos magic? Just listen to jazz. Sun Ra. You'll learn all you need to learn about chaos. Listen to it in the dark. You're going to learn all you need to learn about chaos.
What's it called? Sun Ra?
Sun Ra. S-U-N space R-A. Sun Ra and his cosmic orchestra.
And Thelonious too.
Thelonious, Thelonious. He's hard. Thelonious would make you crazy.
Come on now.
Thelonious is over there. But Thelonious, Coltrane. Chaos. Straight chaos. How can you have three people playing in a trio together? Nobody knows what each other's doing. And you decide at a certain moment in the song that you're going to break everything down, but you don't tell anybody. But everybody knows to break it down in that moment and when to pick it back up. That's organized chaos. That is why Coltrane was banned from the radio for many years. They would not play him on the radio because they could not chart his music. And they said, if we cannot chart your music, we will not play it. Because why do I want to chart it?
Add water to it.
Add order to it.
Put it in a box.
Put it in a box. There we go. We see. We're getting there.
Pigeonhole it.
Huh?
Pigeonhole it.
Pigeonhole it. Exactly. Because if I can define it, I can clamp down on it. And Coltrane said, nah, man. Because Coltrane's best friend was Babatunji, Olatunji. You remember, he's a drummer. The Drums of Passion was a popular, well, I'm saying album, a popular project he brought over here years ago. And they were really close friends. And he used to play on his horn with Baba. He was a djembe drummer. What he would play on the drums. They would play around like that and experiment. Okay, so now you're hitting different things in people. Okay, you can't chart that. But if I can get you to chart it, then I can kill it. And then once I kill it, then I can become the best at it. Like Elvis. And the like. Because I can now put it in a form. Okay, we call it 4-bar boogie. Let's go. Why's it got to be 4 bars? You know? Oh, we're going to do some Latin music. 6/8 syncopation. You got to put all my stuff to numbers now? Come on, man. What is this? You don't count music. You don't look at music. You feel music. Think Michael Jackson counted before he danced? You know? But if you want to dance like Michael Jackson, you could probably get a book that will show you where to put your feet in your hands at each time. Yes.
So listening to Coltrane
Yes.
in the dark, use him as the example. Will I vibrate to a higher?
Yes. Because what happens is that we're still on Orisha. Don't worry. I told you, ask anything you want. I'll come back. Because what happens is that when you listen to music in the dark, it not only feeds what we call in Yoruba the OGG, O-J-I, sometimes you see it spelled O-G-E-G-E. If you look it up, it's going to say that it's like your evil double. It's not. Ignore that. That's our tradition has been invaded by Catholics. Okay? The OGG is what you would like, the closest thing you can think of is aura. Okay? It is your shadow, but it's your other self. It's full of ashe or power. It's full of power. You know, when the bombs hit, and everything has OGG. If I sit and stare at this chair long enough, I'm going to see it do this. Have you ever had that experience? See all the heads. That was the OGG in it. Remember, no matter how bad your life is, you're never stuck. Why? No matter how bad it gets.
You control it.
Because you control it, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus is on the main line. Tell him what you want. No, I'm recording next time. Because nothing is still in the universe. Everything is vibrating. Everything is comprised of atoms, molecules vibrating at different rates. Okay, that's when you guys talked about vibration. You have slow vibration. Slow vibration are things that are denser. As things, they vibrate faster, they become more translucent. That they become less of this. They're not so much of this anymore. Okay? They're vibrating at a higher frequency and they lose their acclimation to the planet. Okay? That's why babies and old people are so honest. Because their vibration is so high. They don't understand social etiquette in the same way that we do. Because they either don't have the acclimation yet, or they're losing the acclimation to third dimensional reality, the slower vibration, where things become solid. That's why it was found that we've been here for billions of years. But the part that they didn't tell you is that not necessarily in physical form. We'll get to the Yoruba creation story, don't worry. OGG, so that is the vibration. It is said when the bombs hit Hiroshima, did you know that 3 days after that bomb, they still saw shadows on the ground? You heard about that? That was the OGG. Because it happened so quick. The shadow, that being was like, yo, something happened. And then it's like, okay, I got to slowly dissipate because OGG dissipates in sunlight. It dissipates when you put sunlight on it. OGG, let me get with you. I got to answer the first part. It's a long answer.
Yeah.
So OGG is more active at night. I want you to get this. This is real important. OJI. OGG is more active at night. Now, of course, we understand this understanding. Oh, what's wrong? Okay. Probably ain't no big deal. I just tend to baby little girls.
That's a warrior just like little boys.
Yeah, well, little boys, yeah, all right. My first child was a girl, so I mean, girls are just better. So the thing is, yeah, but without that direction of the positive male energy, they just a bunch of power. Don't know what the heck to do with it. I hear no yap. Yeah, what's the yap now? Hey, I can draw, I can paint, I can cook, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make money with it. And steps the positive current of masculinity. Give it to you, I'll sell it and keep the money. So, yeah, it's called something else. So, the OGG is that the reason why it's so active at night because it relates itself to what we call Osu. Osu is the Yoruba word for moon. It also, Osu is, it relates itself to the menstrual cycle. We have an Odu, or what we call our castings, Irosun, okay, which means Oshun sings, but it also relates itself to the menses. And it also associates itself to the source. See how, our words mean many different things, but it means the same thing. The thing is, it's like the Yoruba language is like poetry. You'll have one word that means 5 different things, but then you have to think, well, how are these 5 different words connected to each other? And then to give you a bigger picture. So how would the menstrual cycle be related to the moon and then be related to the source? And even to the singing of the power of congregation. So, in our Kemetic structure, we had an archetype named Khonsu. 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 Kansu. So you have that su in there. Because really the word, when we say Osu for the moon, the word you really are focusing on is su. Not so much the O. O just means the owner of or the spirit of. Whatever comes after the O is the one you want to look at. So it's really su. So Kansu, he was associated with the moon, and he was called the night traveler. The night traveler. Okay. In effect, what they were referencing was melanin, and how melanin is active at night, but during the day. So everyone thinks, oh, we children of the sun. We get some of that sun on my pineal. Sunlight dries up the pineal organ. Okay, look it up. It dries it up. It feeds from it, but too much dries it.
Doesn't it charge all the other chakras, though?
The pineal? Not necessarily.
Sunlight charge the other.
Oh, sunlight charge the chakras?
Yeah.
Depending.
So the plexus.
It depends on your OGG body. It may not. You can block that light all the same. That's called triple stage darkness. So you can be around elements that are supposed to perform a certain function and they do nothing. There are people who stay in the sun all day, sleep all night in the dark, listen to music, and they just as ignorant as they want to be. So there's other components to the equation. But that is the Coltrane listening at night. It actually charges melanin. Okay, because melanin is active at night. This is where we also get, Kansu was later called, when they began to study it, they called it the Draconis strain. Draconis strain. Draconis. The Draconis strain. Where you get the word Dracula. That's where it came from. It's also where you get the word dragon. That's the woman. Huh?
Can you spell Draconis again?
Draconis. The Draconis strain. And if you think about Dracula for a moment and associate Dracula with OGG, right? What happens when Dracula steps in sunlight? Dissipates. Dracula lives in the shadows or the light? Shadows. Even when he's stalking someone, you look back. You hear something and he just comes back out. Because, because spirit is always craving for flesh. Flesh is always craving for spirit. And without melanin or blood, okay, we give the blood not because of the blood. We give the blood because of the melanin inside the blood. If anybody was curious about sacrifice, it's not about the blood. That's just plasma. It's about the melanin in it.
Can you say that one more time?
What part?
The last part about the blood and the melanin.
Oh, okay. That's some sacrifice questions people here. Okay, I know. There's always a couple in the room. When we give sacrifice, we're just making something sacred. Let's start there. That's what the word sacrifice means. Okay? If I took this mic and said, I really like this mic. And the sister said, you know what, why don't you take it then? Because I think this mic, you should use it whenever you speak. And it will be a blessing to the people. She just sacrificed it. She made it sacred. It will only be used for that purpose. Okay? That's a sacrifice. You can make anything a sacrifice. And ritual, so a sacrifice, you just drop your earring.
Yeah, it's my bad.
Okay? I see everything. Because I'll be the cleanup crew tonight. Tips. So with sacrifice, what you're essentially doing is you're taking something from here and you're sending it to the other world so that they have a vehicle to come across on. Look at it like this. Look at it like your Western Union somebody some money or MoneyGram, whatever, so that way they can take a trip to come see you. Make sense to you? If it doesn't make sense, I'll give it to you another way. Okay? I'm the king of examples, so don't feel funny about asking again.
Could you use an example?
Another example.
Oh, okay. Let's take the vampire for an example, right? What is the vehicle of travel for the vampire? Blood. Okay? If it does not have the blood, it's like a spirit, it's like a shade that can't materialize in the real world. So like if you always see the vampires when they're starving, they come up and like their skin is white, and they have was the makeup and everything, but they're just, and then they get a little taste of blood, and then they start getting color back in their skin, and they're strong again, because what they are is they're spirits. That's what the vampires really represent. They represent your subconscious projections that are not really real, but you make them real by giving them your energy or your OGG. This is why sometimes you can sit next to someone and start feeling tired. They're taking everything off of you, and they get up like, yeah, or sometimes you can be with someone, gotcha, in that special way. Okay, we always this child in the room, and when things are you know what I mean, right?
You don't have to hold back and talk to her straight. You're cool.
Okay, sometimes you can have intercourse with the person. You enter the course, okay, and when you have your apex, you're exhausted. This happens to men, of course, more. And the woman gets up and starts cleaning and vacuuming. Okay, because she's vampirical. She just took all of your energy. Oh yeah, that's why you gotta laugh now. Told on you. That's what you get. So she takes all of your OGG, and now she's more real in this world. She's stronger in this world. Always remember, a woman is not acclimated to the world as much as a man is. This is a man's world. Don't get it twisted. This is a man's world. Heaven is yin. Earth is yang. Heaven is their world. But this is ours. So we have to, that's why we lead. That's the positive and negative polarity example. They have the power because they bring all that heaven power to us. But because they're not acclimated to the planet, they don't parallel park correctly. They can't get a hold of their emotions. No. Yes. So they can't get a hold of emotions and all that other good stuff. You see, that's when we step in and say, let me get out. Just stand on, I got it. Or sit your butt down, stop yelling. Because I'm acclimated to the community. The landlord's going to hear you, going to kick us out. You're not even thinking about it because you come in with all that heaven chaos. You see? Everybody understand?
Yeah.
Everybody? What's that, sweetheart?
Sit up so I can hear you talk. Oh, I forgot the question. I made her wait till you were done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's my fault because I made her wait.
All right, no problem, sweetheart. I'll when you want to ask
Come
again.
back.
So
What you want, man? With the girls.
So at verse, listen to music that's opposite of culture, that I just have a distaste for,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Will that zap, or that will, listening to
I'm with you.
music I really detest, Lil Wayne, okay, what will that do to me?
Rap today.
What do Skittles and McDonald's do to you?
Kill me.
Poison you.
Yeah. I mean,
Music is food. You don't need to eat. Why do we eat? For energy. There's other ways to get energy. I could deliver what I'm saying to you right now in a form that all of you fall asleep while I'm talking. Not because I'm boring, but I could take your energy. Some do it. That's why some say, call me Baba so-and-so and ha 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 ha, I'm Baba. So you bow down. You give me your power. You see, now I'm feeling good. Your life is still jacked up. And you still have to keep coming to me for everything. But my family is flourishing. We're good because I'm taking your power. I feel like I'm missing something. But yeah.
Could that be similar to like Baptist church, like basically how they be screaming and yelling, like they stealing your energy, and you giving all the pastor and the praise team and all them all your energy because they're yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
Leave and
Sometimes it is exactly that.
Okay.
You have that everywhere.
Right.
You have those people who are vampirical or parasitical in every environment. And then you have in some of those same Baptist and Pentecostal churches, people who know what they got and people who don't know what they got. it's undoubtedly true. You go into a Baptist, fire baptized, a Pentecostal church, walk in there when they're in the midst, when the Spirit's in there, you feel it. I don't care. I know how some of us feel about it, but it's there. We can't deny it. You can sometimes, you see it. You see the Spirit floating over top in the air. You can see it. You can feel it. Because when we get together, we create God. Now we saying Jesus, Jesus, but it's just a vibration, and we all doing it at the same time. See, that's why church is one of the most orderly places you can go into. Everybody got the same agenda when they come to church. Praise the Lord. For the most part. I understand, but for the most part, we're going to praise God. Okay? So because you have that many people on one accord, it creates an energy. Now there are people there, you got witches in church who sit in the back just soaking up and pulling that energy to them. Sometimes it's the quiet ones in the back. Sometimes it's the pastor, because they get up. I just want to testify about our illustrious pastor. He bought a Bentley this week, and God is so good. He said he went down to the dealership, and his friend works at the dealership, and it's no, his friend don't work in a doggone dealership. It costs the same amount as it costs everybody else. But when you're giving all that energy, yeah, I'll take it. Feed me. I got you. Because most of the time, people who posture themselves in positions, they are vampirical. Now, but there's a value to it. Essentially, what you have, we're talking about the Baptist church. You have a bunch of women. So you got a building full of vaginas, thinking the same thing at the same time, singing and chanting, throwing water and olive oil on each other. That's a gigantic ritual going on. And then you got one man at the top who's taking all that power and directing it to different places. It's the way it's supposed to happen. It's just where you're going to direct it now. You see, you get all them vaginas in the room thinking the same thing, because they control the spiritual community then. They control the Orisha community. It's no secret. I have a lot of male students. I don't even know how that happened. Because most people got mainly women students. For some reason, I get a lot of men. I don't know why. Okay, but there's a lot of power there. Okay, so it's problematic, but then there's something to it at the same time. You, and then I got you, then I got you.
So how
Oh, and you. I'm sorry, sis.
How can I stay in my supreme being at all times? How can I not be broken with the foolishness?
Mm-hmm. Die. That's number one.
Materialize.
You gotta die. Okay. You can't stay in your supreme being all the time. Your nervous system couldn't handle it. Okay. Sometimes people get a little touch. We were just somewhere. I did an initiation. I'm not good with days. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? The Obatala. Day before. Okay. So I would have said this morning. So I consecrated someone to a certain energy, and every time I went to touch this person, they get ready to fall out. Okay. And then she commented. She said, "I notice people they do that whenever you go to touch them." Now, if I'm channeling energy at that rate, to the point that I'm just lightly touching you and you're getting ready to fall out, then if you were in that moment all the time, that means you just be in a coma. Nervous system can't handle it. That's why we have an entity called Eshu. Eshu governs the sympathetic nervous system. And we say that he's the holder of Ashe, or not just that Ashe is power. He's the holder of power. And what he does, he steps you up, so that you can take more and more and more power. Okay? But you can't stay in that place. You can't. Now you say, how do I stay away from the foolishness? We have to define what the foolishness is. Because some of that you may need. Because if you were designed to stay in your God state, why'd you come to earth? Why'd you just stay up there with the gods, kicking it? You gotta think about that. Why do you have urges? Why do you have anger? Why do you have joy? Why do you have mental attachment? If it's all a problem, then you're so powerful. You're an ancient being. No one in this room knows how old they are. Well, maybe you do. Teach me. Anybody know how old they are?
Nah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know your birthday, but you don't know how old you are.
No, not also.
Biologically, you don't know how old you are. Who? Okay, whatever you come through is what you are. You got that? So you asked me a question earlier, where you from, right? I said, normally I say Orun, which is heaven in our tradition. You know, because I don't know tell people where I'm from. I say I'm from heaven. If I don't say heaven, there's another answer I always give. I always say I'm from my mama's bush, which is heaven. Thank you. You got it. That's what I usually say. My mom, but I was here. I was trying to be humane, you know. But I know this is from my mama's bush. Because whatever I came out of is what I am. Whatever my course, my sacred grove that I traveled through, that's what I am. So that's the blood I got. So now, when I say how old you are, then you got to say, well, all the blood that's in me is not new blood. The DNA in me is not new DNA. It's from my mother and my father. So, okay, let's say if they're in their 80s. So then we can say you're 80 years old, right? Or you add your birth. So say you're 30 plus 80 is 110. But then it gets tricky because then we got to count their parents in there. You know where we're going with this. I'm not going to waste our time with the count, but you know what I'm saying here. Your blood goes back that far. So you have no clue how old you are. No clue.
Don't
Yes.
be reincarnated?
Reincarnated, define that.
You know what I mean? Like,
There's different meanings.
our spirit, once this body, this corpse goes back to the ground, our spirit, don't we make certain life contracts to come back?
Your spirit only stays if we want it to stay. If we didn't like you, your spirit dies. Unless we hated you so much we keep talking about you. The spirit of Hitler is strong in this country. The spirit of Harry Truman is strong in this country. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Roosevelt, strong in America.
What you talking about them all the time?
Because you got a pocket full of him. You got a magic wand with ancestors' faces on it. And every time you want something, you put them in the middle of the current. You even call it currency. You say, here, man, here's George Washington. See? And it's got the pyramid on it, and the eye, and the phoenix, and it's got all these different things, symbols on it. You see? So the spirit stays alive. But what happens to the soul? Right?
Yeah.
Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. That's the beauty of the soul. It's that untouchable place. It's undefinable. Now people will seek to define it. The soul is your joy and your happiness. No, it's not. Your joy and your happiness is emotions. That's your corruption. Because it's transient. It's temporary. That's your corruptive point. All your happiness, your love for your children, all that's corruption. Me saying, what is it, baby? But then the guys, I got you. I'm getting to you. Okay, my love for children is my corruption. That's my human problem. That's my human frailty, because I'm attached to an idea. The soul never wavers. The soul is steady. The soul is the 42 declarations of Ma'at. I have not. I have not stolen. I have not gossiped. I have not copulated with the little boy. I have not stolen my neighbor's cattle. You did. And then some. You broke 11 of the 10 commandments. You know? But I didn't do any of those things. Because I'm perfect. Which is my trap. I can't do those things. You see? I can't have fried fish and grits and shrimp and grits. I can't, get chlamydia, gonorrhea, all those other fun things that's a part of being a human. I can't have those experiences. You see what I'm saying? So, avoid the foolishness? Maybe not. You gotta go, remember this is a pendulum. You got high vibration, low vibration, positive, negative. And if you can learn to balance between the two of those, in the middle will arise God. God is created from the interplay between positive and negative, between the interplay between chaos and order. You gotta have them both. If you try to just lay on one end, you'll be imbalanced. That's why we have more than one Orisha. They all do something different. There's some Orisha at certain times, they don't even talk. Look, it's just time to kill. Call me when you're ready to kill. Don't call me for nothing else but killing. And anytime you take this knife and you cut something, I'm there. And that's all it does. Now, it ain't sitting by the river crying because your wife left you and all that other that you think. It doesn't care. Man, show me the blood. You want to go kill her? I'm there. You see? That's why they are selected consciousness. Because if you allow them to rule you, look at how you be living. So you better stop thinking your gods or deities are perfect. They're not. The only thing that's perfect is your soul. And you can't even really tap into that. You can only reflect it at certain times. But if you tried to be it all the time, it would kill you. In your Bible, Moses just saw the backside of God. His hair turned white. That's all he could take. Now, in our tradition, Moses is an entity we call Orumila. Moses represents the one who comes, who brings the law and brings it to the things we didn't know. When Moses went onto the mountain and spoke, he spoke to an Orisha called Oya. Well, y'all call it Jehovah, but it was Oya. Okay? And he just saw a glimpse of Oya. And his hair turned white. Meaning he went right to the crown chakra. They're good stories. Good mythology. Okay? But the understanding there is that we can take certain information, reflections from the Most High, and we can apply them, we can use them, but we can't take the fullness. If you try to take the fullness, you'll go crazy. People who have tried always go crazy. There's a realm in our tradition called the Okan. Okan means heart. But that is the realm where the Ori, or the soul, lives. And there are people who tap into the Okan to do certain things at certain times. But then there are those who stay there too long. You go to Yoruba land, you see a lot of zombies. People just walking on the side of dirt roads. And they say, oh yeah, he's mad. There's something wrong with him. It's not that. He's trapped. He doesn't know which side of the mirror he's on anymore. Or she. Mainly it's with guys, because women can handle that. They can go to that realm and come back much more easily than we can, because in truth we really don't belong there. That's yin. That's for them. That's Oduduwas. The women belong there. I saw more hands. I know you. And let me get you first now. Yes.
They don't believe in using the olive oil and Baptist churches. They do those in non-denominations. But I do know some Baptists that do, but in general, the Baptists don't believe in it.
They do, but the Baptists do the Eucharist. Is that not a sacrifice? The blood and body of Christ?
But all pastors don't believe in the Baptist churches that I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe in it, but I do know some Baptist people that do it, but the pastor may not know about it.
Some of them don't know about it, and some of them are my clients. You know how many Baptist preachers I put in their position, coming to me, to my shrine, to my temple for work and readings? Every Baptist preacher is not ignorant of your traditions. Those of you who work with people, you know, they come right after church. Most time once the sun go down, you hear a little dot at the shrine door. Yeah, a little soft knock. Yeah. So, you know, I'm trying to get seated in my organization, and you know, I was wondering if the chickens, whatever we got to do, let's do it. They're the most hardcore ones. The politicians I work with, and they whatever. I don't care what. Let's do it, even if it's a person. Sacrifice.
All of them don't believe in God using a female.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you always want to do. Like people ask me all the time, "Are you a pastor?"
Mm-hmm. Well, because in truth, it is inappropriate for a woman to be a pastor.
I don't say that.
But I'm explaining to you. Let's look at it energetically, okay? Yeah, I'm a sexist. A woman can't lead me. No, you can't lead me to the bathroom. I'll find my own way. Men, thank you. Saw the sign. Because I know my energetic role is to always lead. I'm built to lead. I'm built wide. People can stand behind me. I'll get the hit. You won't get anything. I'm built for that. So sometimes that gets translated in the wrong way, though. Okay? Women can lead, but there is a space and time for them to lead. Okay? Women lead and teach children. They preserve the culture for the children. If your community is crazy, it's because your women are crazy. Yeah. So,
I agree. If God didn't choose to use you, you shouldn't be the one complaining about it, right?
well, it's all depending on what God we're talking about.
Christ Jesus.
Christ Jesus wasn't God. There's no J's in the Hebrew language. You know what I'm saying?
But
You know what I'm saying.
make a point, if he didn't choose to use you, you should be the one complaining about it.
Christ doesn't use anybody, though. The reason you complaining is because you came up with that idea yourself, and now you don't got the heart to go through with it.
No, because I run into people that complain a lot like it's them.
This is what you need to do.
They should be happy that it's not them. So what's your point of complaining?
Here, you're absolutely right. I'm going to give you this. There's a ritual that I do in my house. Whenever, because that's a spirit unto itself. That's a spirit that she's speaking about. And it's the 10-point ritual. Okay? That I do in my home whenever that spirit tries to affront. And there's a chant to that ritual. And the chant goes, it's 10 points. Get the F out of my face with that bullish. Okay? Just do that next time, you're going to see. They're going to flee. So, somebody else had a question.
Based on what you said about sacrifices, would you say our sacrifices act as conduits for the Orishas to come through us?
Yes, that's the point.
Okay.
But you have sacrifice and you have ritual. A sacrifice takes something that's here and brings it up there. A ritual brings something that's up there and brings it down here. That's the difference between sacrifice and ritual, or rite. Okay? And because this world is dominated by yang energy, male energy, that does not have affluence and connection to heavenly energy, this world is ran and designed off of rites and rituals. When I say this world, I'm talking about this Western social construct. That's why you have places like Rite Aid. You go in there, you probably never even looked at, you didn't think about the title or the name of the store. You're going to get some Reese's Pieces or whatever you're going there to get. You know, Rite Aid, that was a store originally. They would sell you things for you to do rituals. You used to be able to go get cocaine from Rite Aid, right? Yes, people know about that. So somebody wanted to. What about Heron? So so these are places. This society is ran off of rituals because they're constantly trying to bring things that are in that yin world to here. They're unable to do it. So they need a vehicle of travel. The best vehicle of travel is someone who has a soul. You see? Anybody ever saw Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
Remember? Okay. The first one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How did they beat Freddy? He was in their dreams.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
They had to take a piece of his clothing or something, right? And bring it back. What was it? I don't know.
That sounds like a ritual.
It's been a while.
Voodoo. Anybody remember how they beat him on the first one?
They had to believe
Where
that
they kill himself.
they wasn't in their dream.
Come with it.
They had to believe that they wasn't in their dream, so they stated that this is not real.
Right. Remember,
Oh yeah, they should.
remember the last scene, and I can't remember the girl's name, the main character, and she turned her back on him, and she was like, "You're not real. You're not real. You're not real." And he was saying, "Look at me!" He had his claws out. "Look, I'm gonna kill you. Look at me. Look at me." And she's just like, "No, you're not real. You're not real. You're not real." And he disappeared. And of course, at the end, where he pulls it through the doorway. But the point is, because we need part two. But but there's a science to that. If I don't give it my attention, if I don't give you my OGG, you will dissipate. Because even by turning my back on you, casting my shadow to you, I still cast the light of the sun to you. And a vampire or shade dissipates in sunlight. The truth is the light. The truth is you ain't there. You're a projection of my subconscious mind wanting you to be real because I need an adversary. Because I don't want to fight my own ego, my own issues, because it's too hard. So let me blame it on somebody else. So whenever I get to that point when I start realizing, what's going to happen? Michael Brown, I just killed one of your children. I'll show you how real I am. And then what are you going to do? All you're going to do is a mass ritual. You're going to march in the streets chanting my name with fires and candles and everybody drinking and getting drunk and pouring out liquor. Thank you. Thank you for the sacrifice. That's a tough one, right? I know. Because is he saying just ignore it? I would say this. Y'all don't really care. You gotta say you care because it's the politically correct thing to do, but you don't really care that boy got killed. Let's keep it real. You don't even care that Trayvon got killed. You don't care. You gotta say you care because, oh man, they keep and do something. Light a candle against, they released the name of the guy. It was Darian Wilson or something like that. I just saw it this morning. Anybody doing any rituals against him? Because you don't care that boy just got killed. Keep it real. Some of you might. I see some heads nodding. Some of you might have did something, but for the most part, you don't care. That's just a hard thing to say. Because our human attachment, the attachments to what we call morality, which is a product of our religious understanding, our attachment tells me that we're supposed to care. That's all. You got a question?
So do we choose to come here?
Yes. Yes. Every time. Not just do you choose to come here, you choose who you come here through. Your messed up family.
Oh,
you chose it.
I chose them.
You chose it. You chose it. Sometimes you choose them for your development. Sometimes you choose them for their development. let's say if a generation is going by, right? Because you all you paid to cut Friday night. This is a revolutionary action that all of you are taking. See, me, this is my life purpose. What I do is teach. So it's different for me. You know, I don't want to come back to this planet, so I'm fulfilling my purpose. You didn't have to come here. You could have stayed home and watched a YouTube video for free and still felt like, okay, I did my part. I'm good. So the fact that you went beyond to actually learn something in this time, I got you, is revolutionary. Now, let's look at your family. The current family, the ones that you know. I guarantee you, they're not doing the same thing right now somewhere. It's only you. Isn't that a wonderful act of compassion that your soul did? It looked down and said, in 2014 or whatever, 1980, whatever, 70, whatever, whenever y'all came through, man, nobody's going to be conscious in the family. That means there's no one there to raise the vibration of the bloodline during that time. Man, I just came back from that. I finished my work last time. I didn't have to come back this time. All right, I'm going to go back down.
So even if you came down, you did the work, okay, you learned your lessons and, you're there. You can choose to come back?
You can choose to come back. The person who facilitates your re-arrival is Oya. She's an entity that we have in our tradition, OYA. You know her as maybe Kuan Yin or Tara, Sekhmet. You know, these are all Oya figures. And Oya, she's not only the guardian of the ancestors, but when she's on the planet, Oya's hurricanes, tornadoes, but she represents the supplanting of power. Okay, she takes what you have and she puts it over there for the next person. She supplants energy. She moves it around like an inheritance, or like somebody getting fired from a job and you getting a job. Okay, so it's the moving of energy. So you go to that next realm and you say, man, I gotta go back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back. So he says, all right, I'm gonna take you down, because when I'm in heaven, all Oya does is cry. She's compassionate. Oya not only means the word, she tore it, like as to rip something, but it also means tears, to cry. But she's only crying in the 5th dimension. In the 3rd dimension, she's vicious. She's a duality. She's very complex energy. Okay, so when you're in heaven, she's nice. You know, she's cool. She's crying. Oh, come on, baby. But when you get to Earth, she takes out her 2 swords and she's like, all right, let's follow me. Come on. She's Harriet Tubman. Let's go. We going back down. Let's go. I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna make sure no hags, phantasms, vampirical energies, or anything jumps on you when we're flying back down to heaven. I got you. We're gonna go across what they call the Bifrost. Anybody familiar with Nordic tradition? The Bifrost is what Thor and they would the bridge they would go down. If you saw the movie Thor, Idris Elba, he played a character called Heimdall, and he sat there with the sword like this, and he was the most powerful person in the whole tradition, because he's the only one who could see all the different worlds at the same time, and you couldn't get through them unless you went through him. I am the truth, the way, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me.
Is that Eshu?
Eshu. He was Eshu, but Heimdall is a combination. He's like Zarabanda and Apollo. He's a combination of Eshu and Ogun. Okay, so he's standing there, and he's the one who opens up the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge. That Rainbow Bridge is Oya, or you also know it as your chakras. They all belong to Oya. Okay. So, yeah, we choose to come back. Okay, no matter how it looks. Now, there's also there's various reasons. I couldn't give you all the reasons, because I don't remember. Part of your journey back here, you forget what you were. The reason you're sitting here right now is to remember your consciousness. So when I get to Orun, I want to remember some of these things in my spiritual consciousness, not the same as my human consciousness, because I want to go make some other worlds. But I want to take some of the tools and the things I learned from here to go do it. Okay, that's why you're learning all of these things, so it gets ingrained. Okay? So there's several reasons. Sometimes a person has to come back, most times because they didn't finish their work. You didn't fulfill purpose. You're a great person. Everybody loves you. You're really nice, but you didn't do what you came here to do. So it's not enough. Okay? I don't teach at the level that I do because I love you all. I got into this understanding and in this community work because I hated what was being done to me and my people. Not because I loved my people so much, I just don't like bullies. So I said, you know what, I don't like to be scammed, I don't like bullies, I don't like seeing people taken advantage of. So I said, I'm going to get into the fray. You know, later it turned into a love, but it's still more hate than love. Just polarities, right? If I said I did it because of love, I'd be just as imbalanced if I said I did it because of hate.
That's it.
I do it because of both. Because I love consciousness. I love us all. But I hate this human existence. You know? I love your souls. But as human, no. So, you know, some people come down because they didn't complete their work. I'm completing my work, so I ain't got to come back. That's the main reason why I teach, number one. And that comes above and above everything. My children, mates, everything. They can all take a back seat to this work right here. That's the hard part. Yeah. Your daughter's sitting there crying, Baba, nah, baby, I got to go do this. You'll be all right. You came here for your own purpose. Okay? And I gave you life. You're healthy. You're gorgeous. You're good. You're the next step. You're better than me. You got more than I had. I can't come back here though, so Baba got to go teach the people again. Baba has to fulfill his purpose. I'm not responsible for your purpose. The door we can only walk through ourselves. And we all have access to the Orisha. Because we all have an individual purpose that we must fulfill. Okay? The Orisha are not contained in someone's shrine. And if you don't act right, you can't get access to them. Don't never fall for that one. The Orisha are not just in Nigeria. They're cosmic forces that cannot be contained. When you walked through the door, they all came in with you. As did a bunch of demons. That's how it is. You gotta have a little bitter with the sweet. Okay? But it's the demons that give you your power. The Orisha are to be used to tap into when we're dealing with angels, spirits. I know why you tap into them. I know what you do. You want your rent paid. You want your business to take off. You want your car to stop making that noise. You know, you're lonely. You're coming home every night just to children or to a loud TV set. You know, you want somebody to hold in the midnight hour. I get it. I go to the Orisha. Okay? That's not what they were designed for, though. They just can do that by default. Okay, but that's not their design. Okay? Like, I can prepare food very well, you know, but I don't touch near nothing in my kitchen. I don't know where nothing is at. I got a beautiful kitchen. I don't touch it. That's for the women. I'm doing other stuff, like repairing holes in the ceiling and stuff, you know, or going around the property with my pistol, making sure, checking on that noise I heard. I'm not going to send her out there. That's the only thing you think of?
I said the most masculine things, huh?
No, there's more masculine things that I can think of, like what I'm doing right now, teaching you, giving you life. This is my number one job. I gotta teach. If I don't teach, you know, every man is the high priest of his home. If you ain't teaching your family, get out. You wonder why the churches are filled. Those women, they be married. You know, they're married to what we call transsexuals. Yeah, it's transsexuals. You know, they look like guys, but they're not really guys inside. You know, they're adult boys.
So would you say the man's ultimate purpose, every man's ultimate purpose on life is to be some sort of a teacher, mentor, coach?
Every man's automatic function
Right.
is to teach. Just like every woman's automatic function is to nurture. But it may have nothing to do with their purpose. But there are certain things that we have to do that help lead us to the purpose. I incarnated as a man in this incarnation because the functions of a man is what was going to help me to fulfill my purpose. You see? So my purpose is to teach. Now, as a woman, I would have had struggles with that. You know, because people would be telling me, you can't teach, you sit your butt down, and, you know, and all that. I got to go. Now I came as a big man. Now I'm teaching, sit down, shut up. You see? But these are the things that you have to look at. You have to look at every component of what and who you are and figure out, why did you get that? Things I got things I was made. My voice has been like this since I was 7. See, I'm saying that's I used to get clowned. I come around able to everybody used to do that all the time. You know, boy got a deep voice. My teeth was the same size. And then I'm not a nice person. I'm a good person, but I'm not nice at all. Not even a little bit. So I was given these big teeth. A lot of times when I smile, people say this all the time. Oh, you got a nice smile. What was you expecting? Because if my smile looked like my nature, it looked like something totally different. Because I'm a lot meaner than I actually look. So the Most High said, we gotta sculpt you. Obatala said, we gotta sculpt you a different way, because you're gonna have to teach people. So we're gonna have to give you the type of voice that people listen to. Because I was very shy as a child and talk. So if we make your voice the way your nature is, no one's gonna listen. You're gonna sound like a mouse. You see, and we gotta give you this big teeth to make you look like a little child. Whenever you smile, you're gonna look like a little kid. Because you got a very hard looking face, you look like a pirate. I know how I look. I can't hurt my feelings. You know, my brothers crap on me every day. I know everything that's messed up about me. You know, so you have to look at all of those things. Why did the Most High give me this? Why did the Most High give me that? And understand that everything you were given, when I say the Most High, I'm talking about your own soul. You designed yourself. Why did I design myself in this way? It was only so that you can fulfill your life purpose. Everything you have is to fulfill purpose. It's not to glorify, because if you're glorifying it, you lost the game already. At the end of the day, everyone sitting here are just mounds of rotting flesh. You got bacteria crawling all over you right now, and mites. You know? So what's so great about that? Huh? You're disgusting. You're disgusting. All of you. So where's the real beauty? From the soul. Okay.
What is the creation story?
Okay, the creation story, let's start here. There are many creation stories. And even in the Yoruba creation story, there are many versions of the Yoruba creation story. Why are there many creation stories? Because there are many worlds. There is no one creation story. I will tell you the Yoruba one, but I have to preface it with that. Okay? Everyone's creation story is just as valid as your creation story. Please be very clear on that. This is a key point that most people don't ask, so I don't get to ever say it. And most people don't want to hear it. Every creation point is valid. Every creation story. Because there are different points of creation. The Yoruba creation story in a nutshell goes like this. And before I tell you the creation story, I have to tell you this. We don't know when it occurred. Everybody get that. You can yawn and worry, it ain't going.
How do you spell
Won't offend
Yoruba?
me. The creation story is still going.
How do you spell Yoruba?
Yoruba. It's a Portuguese word. The Yoruba story, the creation story, is still ongoing. I know. Just rob me for a second on this. We're told that life began in Ile Ife. Ile means house. Ife means life or heart. So the house of life, or the house of love. Ife is also love. Okay? But let's think about this for a moment. Is it possible to establish another house of life? A woman's womb is a house of life, right? It's also a house of love. Or it could be a tomb. It's an epidemic we got going. Don't worry, it's not an anti-abortion speech. If you tell them there wasn't one single point when that creation happened, and it was an esoteric story. Of course, it had scientific roots, but esoterically, it was telling us that this is how we create, period. This is how we create realities using this formula. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Blasphemy. Because everything that is spiritual, people make physical. That's why they never get the point. They read the Bible and say, when this, there was no when. There's no when. So, creation story. Basically, the Most High. We have 3 emanations from the Most High. That's another thing that will get you in trouble. Orunmila, Obatala, and Oduduwa, who are not Orisha. Yeah, you can tell people that, they're going to argue you to the death, but they have no substance to back it up. They don't understand the hierarchy of spirits in the Yoruba tradition. Now, if you go back to Nigeria and speak to real elders, they'll tell you, yeah, of course not. They know. Yes, spell them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Orunmila, Orumila, Orunmila, the power of omniscience, all-knowing. Orunmila. You got Oduduwa, Oduduwa, omnipotency. Odu means womb. Wa means woman. Du or Dudu means black. That is Oduduwa. She represents omnipotency. Obatala. Oba, O-B-A-T-A-L-A. Obatala. O-B-A-T-A-L-A. Obatala. Obatala represents omnipresence. He's called the chief of the white cloth. Omnipresence. If you want to understand Obatala, if you can understand it, because it's a little complex. But take a little time and look up string theory or superstring theory. Superstring theory. It will help you to understand the science of Obatala a little better. Remember, all these things we're talking about is science. The reason I have to call people's names and say he or she is because we've become so stupid.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Everything I'm teaching you right now, just so you know, these are stories for children. You know, that's just how it is. But these are stories that were told to children for them to understand science. But back then, children were much smarter than adults are. You know, okay? Now, in terms of the creation story, what happened was you had the supreme being, Olodumare. Okay? O means what? Anybody remember? O. I heard it.
The consciousness.
No. Selected consciousness is Orisha. Anybody got O? I gave you O. I heard somebody said it. I heard it. Owner. Anytime you see O or Ol, O-L or O by itself, in Yoruba it means owner or spirit of. Okay, and the of is going to be the words that come after it. Okay, so you have Olodumare. So you got the O, and then it's Odu, which means womb, and Mare means serpent. Can anybody put it together for me now?
Owner of womb spirit.
Mare means serpent. So say that again.
Owner of womb serpent.
Owner of the womb serpent. Spirit of the womb serpent. Spirit of the serpent's womb. Serpent's like a dragon, right? Like the Kundalini, like the Draconis strain, right? Like Kansu. But Olodumare owns all of it. Okay? Owner of the serpent's womb. And of course, this relates itself to DNA. So Olodumare, just like in our Kemetic studies, is Atumare. They're the same entity. And what they represent is your atomic beginnings, where things begin, where they start. Olodumare is always the next step of evolution. This is all related to the creation story, by the way. Why is Olodumare always the next step of evolution?
The womb is the life, house of life.
It's a source.
Womb is usually the death.
You can always start
Usually.
over.
But yeah, say that. You can always start over. But give it to me,
The source.
the source. But why is he always the next step in evolution? And I said he for a reason because Olodumare is male. What did I tell you Olodumare was before?
Source of the breath inside the new individual.
The source of the breath, right? And Olodumare was our highest, supreme, defined deity. Defined.
And so because of
The
its
one.
manifestation, you call it male because it is the one that's moving. Read your old one thing, I like that.
Okay, so you read that one. Okay. So it's the one. But things don't start with the one. Where do things start?
Y'all.
The zero, the O, the cipher, the womb. So, and they will kill you for this too. Olodumare is not the supreme being. Olodumare is the very first attempt of the supreme being to define itself, to take a look at itself. So, okay. But even in that, we still can't understand it. Olodumare is still that vast. So it's more supreme to our understanding. But it's just like Allah, darkness. So we need to find out what that darkness was. If that's what gave birth to the supreme. But we do understand Oduduwa. So Olodumare is the next step in evolution because Olodumare is you. Remember, he breathed the breath of life into your head. You became a living soul. You come down here, you get corrupted. You see things to do that you shouldn't be doing, but you want to do them anyway. All of these different things is what evolves the Almighty. Because the Almighty never gets an opportunity to do any of those things. Because it is the 42 declarations of Ma'at saying, I have not. So if I've never touched anything, if I've never been corrupted, I could say all these things to you right now, and everybody could walk out the room and be like, this man is crazy. And Olodumare will do this. I needed to know what that felt like. Because every time I talk, everybody's afraid and they listen and they do whatever I say. I needed to know what it felt like to fail. Now I'm better. Thank you. I experienced it through you. Failure. So because of that, now Olodumare evolves from our corruption. That's why when you say, how do I stay away from the foolishness? You're staying away from what you're being driven to. It's the corruption that evolves you. I know, it's weird, but I could just be crazy. Hey man, there's many other teachers, you know? I could be crazy. But you know I'm not. Because even if I wasn't saying anything, you'd still be learning because something is resonating in your DNA. This makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense. It is the light, that's your purity, sure, but it's the darkness that corrupts you, and you need both of them. Because when they meet in the middle, at that solar chakra, as we talked about, it gives rise to your real identity, which is a combination of the two of them. Okay, and we're still on that creation story, but I'm giving you the reason for the creation story. So Olodumare is looking down. Says, you know, it's time to create some things. Okay? So I won't give you all of the members who are involved because it gets complex and you got to understand the cryptic symbolism of everything. But he sends down Obatala. We'll give you that version. Okay, and Obatala, he has this chain that he descends to the earth on. Okay, and he comes down with certain items. Okay, so just imagine something, it's up here in the ethers or the Akashic realm, and it decides to create a physical reality. Okay, so it drops down the chain. Let me use this. Oh, still plugged up. Okay, so it drops down this chain from the Akashic realm, and on this chain, the creating archetypes, which you would call gods. The reason we call them archetypes, side note, is because they're not gods. They're supreme expressions of a certain energy. Orunmila is such a supreme, perfected expression of all-knowingness that he is the archetype for omniscience, but not the God. In fact, you are the God of omniscience. So he drops his chain down, and the workers come down. Orunmila comes down the chain. He climbs down the chain, but the chain doesn't. Let's say this is like the surface that he's going to create. It doesn't go all the way down to the surface. It like comes to right here. Okay. Now we're gonna break this down as we go. What's the chain?
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Say it's gold, but some say it was made out of iron.
Oh, yeah.
But it's gold. No, it's not Oya. Sometimes it's gold. Sometimes it's iron. There's a reason for that. I'll just give you this one. When you go up it, it's gold. When you go down it, it's iron. What is it? It's DNA. I told you this is science. The Orisha are not cartoon characters. They're high science. They're the science that science can't figure out yet. So Orunmila is the energy of all-knowing. In some stories, it was Obatala who came down. Now, why would it be Obatala? Obatala represents omnipresence, but Obatala is all white. He's a creative spark. And all of this down here is void. There's nothing there. So what do you need when it's all dark and nothing there?
Right.
Sperm, which is light, liquid light, and it's white. That's Obatala. Okay, and he comes down, he climbs down, sperm goes down that DNA double helix, which they call the divine chain. Okay, and he has certain things in his hand that he drops. One of which is sand. He drops sand, and this is like the firmament. This is earth. Okay, he drops it down there, but he also has a hen. Okay, and he drops the 5-toed hen down there on the sand. Why did it have 5 toes? Well, you might not know. Some might know.
Fifth dimension. Is it fifth dimension type thing?
That might be it. I wasn't gonna say that, but that's a good point.
Senses?
No, actually, yeah, in a sense, 5 is the number of Oshun. So when he dropped the hen, and the hen is sacred to Oshun, what he brought to the world and dropped on the earth was sex. The science of sexual creativity. That's what the hen represented. But the 5 dimension and the 5 sense piece. 5 senses because Oshun rules over our sensory experience on the planet. She's what makes everything smell, taste, and look good. She's a forger. She makes you think things are pretty that are really not pretty. It's tricks.
It's so shiny.
Yeah. So shiny. Look how beautiful it is, but what's inside of it is beautiful. So he drops the hen scratches on the earth, and what the hen is doing is now separating the firmament, like making continents, basically. You can look at it like that. Okay? But what the hen is really doing is causing friction. Now what happens is that there's a process that occurs when you heat particles up, when you accelerate them. Okay? Now when you accelerate them and then they cool down, what happens?
Harden.
They harden. The hardening represents the solidifying or new organisms being born and created from the cooling down. Okay? That's what the hen scratching and pecking, that's what that represents. Remember, it's all science. If you look at it just like it's a cartoon book that you're reading, you're going to miss the deepness of it. Okay? So then, Also, some seeds are dropped, and in that place where some seeds are dropped, a tree grows, a palm tree. Okay, and in life is this is Ile Ife, and there's more to it, but this is where everything pretty much expands out from that point. But why was there a tree? What do we care about a tree? What's the point of a tree? You know it's a tree of life. The difference is the tree of life in the Yoruba tradition was upside down. They never draw it right in the depictions. But the branches and everything were actually facing down towards the earth, and the roots were facing up. What's that all about?
Going back to the source.
You ain't got it.
Going back to the source.
The root.
Going back to the source. What do branches represent?
Lineage. Kids.
You had it the second one.
Kids.
Kids. Your branches represent your interaction with human life. The trunk of the tree represents your transcendental nature. Why is it transcendental? Because you have the roots, which are down in the darkness, negative polarity, right? And then it comes up the trunk, the nutrients, the energy, the thought, whatever, the DNA, that's you rising. And then your next step is born. Your next step is your branches. And those next steps are the ones that interact with humanity. Everybody clear on this? Okay? So that is the basic Yoruba creation story. But now, if you understand it, you'll understand that it never stopped. You could actually recreate that same story tonight. You can evolve. Some of you sitting here have already evolved your DNA. You've already created a new person. What did I tell you my aim was to do when I first started? I remember? Destroy you. I said I wanted to completely destroy you and bring about, I didn't say the last part because I just wanted to leave the cliffhanger, to bring about a new creation. Now, because I understand the Yoruba creation story, whenever I do workshops and lectures, I now know how to speak to people. I didn't know how to speak to people before I learned how to create people. Okay? Right now, you're destroying yourself. You understand the science of metabolism, anabolic and catabolic processes, right? You're destroying and creating cells while you're breathing in and out. This is the Yoruba creation story. Okay, so I had to bring something from the fifth dimension, but I understand in order to evolve your DNA, I must use the energy of omniscience. This is why when you hear me speak about several different traditions at one time. Not omniscience, I'm sorry, the energy of omnipresence. Because I'm speaking about how this is a global phenomenon. It's everywhere at one time. And that's what helps to evolve you. It's formulas. When you learn the formulas, then you know how to recreate life. You can create a new life for yourself just by understanding the creation story and using that same formula. Okay, I dropped the chain down to earth. Sometimes the chain is iron. But what does iron represent? Iron is Ogun, but iron is also anchoring in a certain purpose. So when I drop that iron chain down, I'm not moving. I'm directed. I'm very monogamous with my life purpose. I'm not doing anything else. Once I fulfill it, when I come down, there's the sexual creative aspect. That's the Oshun aspect. But Oshun also is the energy of dark matter and the congregative force of the universe. She draws everything into one space. Okay, so I come down and I learn the science of nationalism. I learn the science of community. Because within community, I can discover what my character is. Thank you, Oshun. Because I know that communities are always built along waterways. And you just taught me that by dropping the hen down. But then when I get everything I get and I transform and it's time for me to go back to heaven, I must go up the golden chain. Because ease on down the road, gold represents what? Alchemy. Everything I talked about all this time is all about alchemy. Al is what? God. Al means God, Kim means black. That's all I've been talking about the whole time. I could have said in the beginning. It's all alchemy. It is the divine blackness, the divine darkness. That is human corruption. Human corruption is darkness. Because you are light, Obatala, coming down the chain and falling into darkness. Lucifer being cast out of heaven, falling to the earth, darkness, to only be redeemed back to the light again. But when you're redeemed, you take the golden path, because now you've been alchemicalized. Yeah?
I get you. I do. Okay.
No, you don't.
I do.
Whenever somebody says that before a question, they don't know what you're talking about.
No,
They say,
no.
yeah, see, I get all of that, the creation story and everything, but how you feel about Barack Obama?
Like that, but in this dimension, there are, trials that come up against you, or I guess some chaos where we try to order that chaos and make it organized. Like in the form of, oh God, oh divine, please protect me and keep me safe. Oh God, please don't let me get in a car wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, please let me pay my bills.
Right.
Those things. How does that play into this? Like you're giving us the very foundational things, but
Mm-hmm.
how does our daily lives play into this?
Yeah. The first thing you got to understand on your daily life is that God could care less about your car accident. Actually, God may want it to happen so it can get to sacrifice the blood. So the first thing that you must understand in your daily life is that there is no God to pray to, because the word pray means to beg.
That good and bad.
So what we good and bad is a relative construct. Exactly. So now when we say, oh God, don't let this, oh God, don't let that, what we're understanding in this moment, as this young man pointed out earlier, is that we are the owners of the Orisha. Why are we the owners of the Orisha? Because we're older than the Orisha. They were created for our purposes. So daily it's not, oh God, don't let this happen. It's Ogun. I'm giving you force from my speaking, moisture from my words, and my energy, my Ashe, my Ojiji. I will get to work safely. That's it. But we're scared to do that. Because you're scared to think that all these spirits floating around in the air actually are your servants. But they hate you because you won't
We talked about that.
command them. They are your servants. The genie, master, your wish is my command. And if you don't properly direct the genie, what do? They play tricks on you. And their tricks are always to get you to see your power. You see what you asked for, you see what happened. You see? So ultimately, the daily practice of this is coming to a place, the Orisha in your chakras, your stair steps, till you can be yourself. And feel that it's okay to feel lonely enough that I don't have to have something to pray to. Because praying is a product of begging, even by definition. Why would I beg something that I created in another realm to help me fulfill my purpose? That doesn't even make sense. So then what happens is half the time, whatever you're praying to ain't what you think you're praying to. You praying, oh Oshun, let me find a man. Oshun is like, I don't even operate by that paradigm. But something else will say, well, I could fake Oshun for a couple hours. And it flies up, you sitting by the river and it touches you and the experience, and it says, look here, man, go get me some brandy, get me some chicken, and get me a burger with no cheese. And bring it back into the river. And it will give you enough. Well, maybe you'll get a look from somebody. And after that, just because of your positive thinking, that's just some laws of attraction, the secret stuff on that level. And meanwhile, you've never even touched Oshun. Because Oshun is like, I function by direction and command. I don't function by you begging me. I don't recognize God begging me. I don't even want to see God beg me. It's like watching your father smoke dope.
So then why do we do rituals?
Why do we do rituals? We do rituals because we want to recreate divine events. Okay? So when we find out things like, oh wow, let's say if you find out you're an Oshun energy, and you find out that Shango is consort to Oshun, and Shango built a brass palace for Oshun, all these different wonderful gifts and all these things. So then you might do a ritual that recreates something that you know that they did because you want that, well, I want my Shango. You want that in your waking life. So we do ritual to bring things or occurrences that are heavenly or in the fifth dimension or divine into the third dimension. We sacrifice to bring things that are here and send them to the fifth dimension. Okay, but your point of ritual is when you're doing a ritual, you're the entity doing the ritual to yourself. There's no external Shango and you giving him some whiskey and he's flying out of nowhere saying thank you. What's happening when you give the whiskey, that same Shango that's right here in your throat chakra just comes out. You invoke it and it says, okay, you want me now. It's like a summon. It's like a summons to the royal court. You remember the word kingdom, dum or dome in that instance means dominion. So a kingdom means the king's dominion. The king is a sovereign. What is a sovereign? Somebody who does whatever they want to do. That's a sovereign. Okay? All the presidents of this country have been sovereigns, not citizens. A citizen by legal definition is a slave. Okay? So if you're ruling your spiritual ecosystem, your spiritual kingdom as a sovereign, you do whatever you want, then you say at any moment, I need Shango in the royal court now. Well, how do you call Shango? I'll tell you. Because each one has a different call. As a woman, you know.
Keep on going.
No, I want to hear your answer. Okay, oh, you got a question. You take your shirt off, you hold your breast up, and you say, O Bakoso, Bakoso, Bakosa. Koso, the king does not hang. He likes breasts. So that's how you would summon that energy, the energy of circumspection. That's Shango.
Because he dropped sex, right?
Because he dropped sex?
I mean, no, that's Oshun. Sorry.
Oshun is more than is sex, is coming together.
That's what made us come into physical form. I haven't been here for like 10 minutes.
I know, I saw you came in. Yeah, sorry.
One question.
Mm-hmm.
As far as her saying, like when we are asking for things, and like praying is begging, and really you just need to basically evoke those things through you and bring them out from within. But who is, I'm trying to say that there's a ranking to this when we were talking about fifth dimension and the archetype. I guess I want to ask, who would be technically above us if we are the gods?
Yeah, for sure.
Because God is, I want you to help me with the definition. God is the landlord, right?
Of what?
I was just trying to.
No, check. I'm with you. I'm with you. This is my God. Now, can we apply that same definition?
No.
Why not? This is my God. I'm telling you, this is my God. You better respect my religion. Can we apply the same definition? Okay, right. I won't torture you. A God can be anything that has influence. Okay? Now, if a God is anything that has influence, and we're speaking about dominion, right? Kingdom. Who should influence the king? Nobody. I know it's tough because nobody says that. I'm supposed to tell you to listen to your ancestors. So if you heard it before, you shouldn't ask that question.
I'm trying to see, like, as far as...
No, you ain't trying to see nothing. What happened was when you heard it before, you didn't believe it.
No. I'm trying to understand from the Yoruba perspective because I did just walk in.
No, we just talking...
Just straight up.
We talking nature.
Okay.
This is the Yoruba perspective, but what's most important is that this is the natural perspective. This is the natural order of things. What is above us? Who says anything has to be above you?
Not in the...
All right, I'm going to give you your answer, but I had to mess with you before you got the answer so you would understand the answer better. What is above you is you. Because you have different aspects to what you are. Like, I don't know your name. I don't know anything about it. I just know the girl with the accent.
Jasmine, how y'all doing?
Okay, we're going to forget that name about 2 minutes. Ain't nobody going to remember that. You still going to be the girl. Some people going to remember and some people not going to remember. Right? So then what does that mean? that means there are different dimensions to you that we're all going to take on to. I'm not going to remember your name. I'm going to remember the hair. Okay? That because I used to be a barber. I remember people by their hair. Okay? So if you were my God, okay, I would worship you in that image. Here, I would be like, oh, she's the goddess over here. Oh, she was wearing gold, man. That's supposed to be a Oshun. She's a love god. So it's how we perceive that dimension of you. There are various dimensions of you. You understand?
Yeah.
So some people will catch different ones. Now, who rules all of those different dimensions, or we'll call them angles, or we'll call them consciousness? God, the supreme, the source. Who is the source? Your soul. So what is above and over you in all the dimensions or the perspectives and that we see of you? Your soul. Which is you.
So,
your real you.
So would my eye just be a reflection of my soul?
Yes, ma'at is nothing but a thought projection. That's it. Ma'at is an attempt for you to understand something about your soul, because your soul is indefinable. So we can only understand its reflection. You can never be your higher self. I got you. You can only reflect the higher self. So ma'at is a reflection through the cosmos. Well, this is what the soul does when it represents order, balance, truth, reciprocity, about harmony, so forth and so on. Okay, but ultimately, the supreme archetype, who we said in this tradition is Olodumare, is you. But you are a negation of that energy. Okay, a negation means if I'm stretched all the way out to the limit because I'm perfect, I can't be any better. If I'm all the way out here, my arm can do nothing but be perfect. That's dead. That's dead. It's not moving. As soon as I do this, I can now create something. So you are nothing but God was like this, and then God said this. Okay, while I'm here, let me get some things done. I may not be able to stretch as far next time, but when she comes back, I'm gonna take a part of my arm and cut it, and I'm gonna make her. So now my arm's gonna be a little smaller till she gets back home, but because she's gonna grow when she's there, when she comes back, my arm is now longer and stronger than what it was. That's why you are a negation of the Almighty, but ultimately you are the Almighty trying to answer questions about itself.
So earlier you said that we don't really know how old we are.
Right.
So all the information that is out here that is hidden, some you can see, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
So I am the God that I am looking for.
Yes. You are the God that you are looking for. And then once you find that God, you're going to realize this wasn't nothing.
Wow. I say, all right.
I shouldn't even been looking for God. I should have been manifesting the question and the purpose that Olodumare had before it sent me. Olodumare might have had one question. What is it like to experience this? What is it like to experience? Because it's an embodiment of wisdom.
So I should be creating all that stuff.
Yeah. This ain't nothing but the Wizard of Oz. You're going to go through this whole journey to find out you had it to begin with. But you got to go through the yellow brick road of alchemy. But you had it to begin with.
Something that's been going on, you touched on it a little bit earlier, and like when one comes into this information, you know, with the end and all of that, and you have all these people around you who are, you know, not awakened, if you will, and they seem to want to suck you back in, and you know, it's mainly family.
There's always family.
And it's like it's been like indirectly.
Family sucks.
You know what I mean? It's been indirect in my especially this month with me just indirect, like, and I mean it's been very challenging. Like, what would you say to, you know, to something? I listened to a lecture you did about self mastery, and you said something about invoking.
Huh? Oh, go ahead. I don't remember that one.
Oh, okay. It was with Beverly. And you said about Beverly.
I don't know that.
Okay, it's cool, but you were talking about warrior.
Okay.
The warrior invoking, like, that's what I feel like my family does. They invoke that warrior side of me. And
well, what do you call the warrior side of you? kick your uncle down a flight of steps or something?
Well, no, not that. Just that kind of that angry, dominant male part of me, I guess.
The good part.
Yeah. Well, no, not the good part.
Oh, I'll say something else.
So not the good part, the other part of me. So like I feel like a lot of people bring out the loving part of me, but my family, they bring out the other part. Always.
Beautiful.
And from what the lecture I got, that it is supposed to be beautiful and that is how it's supposed to be. So I guess it's all in understanding it.
Let's start here. There are some people on this planet that if I just saw them, it's on sight. You know, I'm knocking teeth out. I know the Baba, the Guru. He's even got on linen. He's still talking about knocking people out. Yeah, right, bro. You see, it's both. I love those people because what they do is they tell me this, bro, you ain't there yet. As long as I'm encountering those people and that energy that you're calling that warrior energy is coming up, it's showing me that all that woo sign, all that shrine work you're doing, I have over 500 students. I have more clients than I can even count. People way powerful than me. People with money, politicians, all that. They come to me, they cry on my mat. Baba, what should I do? With all of that, bro, you ain't there yet. Because look at you. You know, you had to go around the corner and smoke a cigar to calm yourself down. You ain't there. You know, you looking for ski masks. And I still got it. You know, so you know, so that's the beauty of it. That's the beautiful gift that they've given you. It's that barometer to let you know, man, nah, I still got work to do. Because as long as I'm attached to their opinion and their expectations, I'm still too human. This is a tradition and an understanding for aliens, not for humans. Yeah, I know. We're aliens, man. We're not from here. Why do you think everyone in this room I could ask right now? Everyone say, yeah, have you ever felt like you didn't really belong and there was a greater purpose and all that? Of course, right. That's why when you came, I said earlier, right, you look familiar. I ain't from no Dallas, Texas, Dallas, whatever. I'm not good with math. Wherever I'm at, I'm not from here. From Mama's Bush. So my point is, you'll see that you'll have astral mates who will roll with you, who will travel with you. And as you go through your life journey, you'll see people like, those are the people who you made a pact to come down with. Hey, look, man, you're going to need this when you get down there. When you hit about 30, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be this for you. You see? All right, well, listen, man, you know, we're going to have to get your gumption up, man. I'm going to have to be your stepfather. Okay? You see? And these are your greatest teachers. Those are your soulmates. Not the ones that give you all this love and flowers that you think. Because when you go home to your family and you're going to be on a high. Oh, man, I'm learning this and da-da-da. You're the same. Listen, there's some pork and beans in there for you. You eat some of that, so you grew up on it. You know what I mean? You think you better. I done did all of that in the 60s. You ain't doing nothing. Okay? You ain't doing nothing. If you was all this, you God now. If you God, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? You see? And that will be your opportunity. Say, okay, what chakra do I want to come from? Where am I coming from with this? And what happens is you're going to be hurt. Because the people you love are going to have no respect. Respect means to see the source, the origin. For those of you who follow my show, I'm getting ready to do a show on respect. I'm just going to break that word down for like 45 minutes, breaking down what respect is. But I'll give it means, I got you. It means to see the origin. Re or ra means origin. Spec means, or specir means to see. Okay? They can't respect you because they can't see you. It's not their fault. Okay? So you're going to go home, and you're going to show no respect. You're going to be hurt instead of compassionate. And you're going to rip your soul apart. Is it because I steal this? Is it because I borrowed money? da 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 da. And when you rip your soul apart like that, you get to look inside. You wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're your greatest teachers. Oh, and I got you.
I mean, I guess he just basically just answered it.
So what would be the response?
Positive.
When people always
We y'all twins, y'all gonna say it at the same time? We finish each other's sentences.
So basically when family,
Yeah.
piggyback off my man right here,
Right.
you know, when family and friends, you know, they call you crazy, or,
Right.
you know, oh, are you worshiping the devil?
Yeah.
You know, crazy stuff like that. And it's like, how do you respond to that? I normally just ignore, but sometimes the inner side of me, I guess, my inner warrior wants to just cuss you out and just be like, you sleep, bro. You need to wake up, you know. But they don't understand that. They think I'm asleep, and they
Right. But see, that's not your inner warrior responding. That's your inner coward. Because you're afraid. You don't want them to say those things to you because in that moment you become very vulnerable. So you want to push them off you. Get out of here with that. You see, a warrior is one who's willing to be vulnerable at all moments, all times. That's a warrior. You see, I learned that. I had 2 martial art dojos, and we used to do a lot of underground fighting in my school. And I would take my students, you know, we'd have regular class, and after class, I'd pull maybe 2 or 3 to the side, men and women. I'd be like, all right, come on, let's go. We're getting in my truck. Where are we going? Let's go. You know, and then when we get in the truck, we're going to go fight. Huh? Who? You'll see when we get there. You see, and I might have had yellow belts in there, white belts, black belts. You're an adult, you can fight. Come on, let's go. And we go to different places and, you know, we fight, we scrap. You see, and sometimes we come home limping. And, you know, sometimes we win. Either way, you're going to get bloodied up. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. But your willingness to do it is what signified you as a warrior, not your victory.
Yes.
Because you were willing to say, you know what, man, I'm going to go in front of some people I don't even know, and I might get beat up. Me, I would fight too. I'm the instructor. I might go and somebody might beat me up in front of my students. Then what? But that's how I developed myself as a warrior. Not because I could beat everybody up. You see? It's your willingness to be vulnerable. So what should your first response be? Man, it's just open yourself up, open wide open. Because what they're doing is they're saying things to you. Everything, this is the beauty of family. Ifa is a family-based tradition. You have to understand that. Everything that you encounter in the world, you will first encounter at home. Everything. Okay? When I go out to speak, no one else can be me like me. Okay, that's all I bring to the table, is me. So, imagine before I learned how to be funny in between. Give you a little bit of what you wanted and then what I needed to give you. Before I learned how to do all of that, I was just like a gun with no safety on it. I would come in, listen. There is no God. I'm here to kill God. Ragnarok, when the day the gods die. I swear that's how I used to talk. And I'd be like, yeah. And looking like, oh. You know, you thinking like you really dropped it, like dropping the mic. You know, Randy Watson and everything. And they would be sitting there. When you leaving, it's like, you know, I have my little briefcase and they be waiting there. I want to talk to you. Come here. You set something up there. And then. So I learned, you know, compassion. I learned how to deal with those things when they came. Okay? When someone, you heard me on the show, you said you called in the show that time, the Christian guy. You saw how Yusuf fell, they were screaming at each other.
Oh, I was screaming, listen. I was getting off the phone, but you were very eloquent, you were very Obatalala.
Because I picked that to be.
You were very obactalized.
I could have picked something else to be. And what I would have done is this. I know that Bible.
Yes, you do.
But I didn't tell him that.
I knew that.
You could hear instead, but this is the thing. I would have embarrassed him.
Learn nothing.
That's it. But that's not loving. Why would I embarrass this man? Yeah, he's coming. He's saying, I'm suspicious of you. He's saying all kind of rude things.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard that one? Okay.
Yeah, I was on there, yeah.
Oh, you was on that show? Yeah. I think his name was Jeremy or something like that. But why would I do that to that man? That man is looking for answers. Whatever ignorance that he's saying to you, this is for y'all. Whatever ignorance that they're saying to you, that's their soul reaching out to you for help. That's why they're behaving that way. They're like, you're nothing but a piñata. And they're hitting you with a stick to get answers out. Because they're not humble enough. They got so much ego. They're not humble enough to say, listen, I know you saw you've been studying some stuff. You seem to be a lot calmer lately. This and that. What you think about this? What you think? Is it really aliens? They're not going to, oh, you probably think there's aliens now, the way you acting. You know, they listening. What you going to say? Because it's that conflict. But that's their soul saying, listen, bro, help me, man. I'm trapped. Because there's only one way to trap a God, and that's to turn it into a human. It's the only way you can trap God. Make it human. So that God is saying, man, you coming into your God. Don't leave me here. Help me. So you're looking at it from the human side. Oh, you was disrespectful. When that guy called the station, I said, man, this guy's looking for answers. Because why would you even be listening to this show? It's a show on metaphysics, and you said he's sitting there, he's a Nubian.
Right.
You know, he's cursing and everything, and you call, well, the Bible said, this ain't the place for that. Unless you hurt, you know, you don't believe that stuff you're saying. You hurt.
Right. Yeah, you can hear them voice.
Yeah. If that conversation was more loving, we would have had a new convert to awaken this. So, question, yes.
Well, I want to comment on what you just said.
Okay.
And then I'll ask my question. My great nephew, he was 5 years old. Easter Sunday, his mother took him before they went to Mass.
Mm-hmm.
She told him it was Easter Sunday and you need to listen to the priest.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very, very smart. 5. So when he get back, his mother asked him, well, what did the priest say? Did you learn anything? He said, I have a question. She said, what's that? Is Jesus a zombie?
Okay.
And she said, why would you ask that? She said, he rose from the dead.
Appropriate question.
You know,
Right.
and they thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, he's smarter than y'all.
Right. Because he already started analyzing. He already started breaking things down. And all children do that. All of them do that. And we find different ways to either opiate them, we drug them, or we program them, or we traumatize them. They all ask that question. There's always a point that every child sits in a classroom and says, why are we doing this? It's that simple question. But you don't realize as a child that when the moment you ask that question, there's a whole series of events that now go into play. You are now targeted, and you didn't even realize it. You thought, well, they sent me out to class to sit on the wall or something, and I got to come back in. You thought that's all it was. But a flag went off. That person's chip is broken. Bring them back into the reprogramming center.
Right.
Oh, you had a question?
Yes. Getting back to you talked about the young man's death, Mike Brown, as far as being sacrificed. Although my question is rhetorical, or not, but if you could maybe help me, I'm still processing what you said. Was he sacrificed to help the black man, or the African American, the people who have been oppressed in this country, okay? To
galvanize together around the cause.
yes, and to spiritually arise. Wake up.
Right.
From the comatose state. Because there's a lot happening spiritually in the universe. So without getting into
there was a more deeper significance to that death.
Yes.
Here's the deepest. Here's what the death meant. What it represented. Black men are weaklings in the story. See, the problem is, and I understand where you come from because a lot of people are doing that. We want to spiritually theorize it. We want to break it down politically. And of course now they're releasing, he robbed some cigars or da-da-da-da-da before. Yeah. But here's the thing. Even if the boy was a hoodlum, even if he was that, he was a hoodlum because we left our post. So these events are going to happen and a whole lot more are going to happen. A whole lot more. And they're happening only because of that one reason. Because, and I'm not speaking about you specifically.
No, I understand.
Because we'd rather sit here and now channel his spirit. Now we're going to go into our shrines and light our candles and wear our little corny, cheap t-shirts. And we're going to channel his spirit and figure out what was going on with this young man. And I can tell you what the thing is. If you castrate the man, you can rape the woman. So men have been castrated. So now you have males out in society like this who do not know how to engage the enemy properly. We're raising our children on enemy lines. And, the women are raising the children by themselves. And the women are raising the children by themselves because, one, they chased away all the good men. Good men don't want to have nothing to do with them. Keep their heads nodding. Because it's a twofold process. Okay?
Yeah, but that's a two-way street. That's a two-way street. It's not just.
Well, but that's what he said.
Chase
It's a
the men
twofold.
away. There's some men
Right.
also who chase the women away.
But you did hear me say it was a twofold process, right?
Well, that's not the same as a two-way street.
Here's what it's the same as. If I sat here and talked about how bad the men are for an hour, I would only get amens. The problem is our women have not been called to the table for their foolishness. So as soon as I say something about a woman, I got to be reminded of this. The first thing somebody's going to say is, not all women are like that, and it goes both ways.
Amen.
That's programming.
But a lot of women.
I know you're rolling your eyes, you don't want to hear it.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that women are not bringing their stuff to the table. They are, but the comment you made didn't say that. It's just like the women chase the men.
Because they do.
Right, but I'm saying that also the men are chasing women away also.
Well, he also said that black men are weak.
I'm making the same exact statement. I just didn't say the same exact phrase twice.
So saying the men are weak is saying that they're also chasing women.
Do you want to be with a weak man? Right now, you saying some things to me, right? Do you want me to buckle under your pressure? Or do you want me to stand tall and have a conversation with you?
That's what I'm doing. I'm having a conversation.
You want me to stand tall and have a conversation, right? You don't want me to be scared because you just disagreed with me. If you disagree with me and I get scared and I say, all right, sister, you're going to be like, no matter what I said, it's going to disinvalidate everything I said for the past how many hours? I'm going to chase you away with my weakness. I'm asking.
I don't really think we're on the same page. I'm not.
It's just vernacular.
I don't think we're on the same page.
Okay. Everybody's not going to be on the same page.
No, I'm saying I don't think we're having this. What I'm saying is not like we're not having the same conversation.
Okay, so I'll repeat it again for any women or men in the room who are not understanding what I just said. Okay? The males are weak. We're talking about why the boy got killed and the significance of it. Now, we can apply a political and spiritual answer to why that boy got killed. This is why the boy got killed, and this is a process that happened it started before any of us were born. The males are weak. They are not becoming men. And I'll give you a better better term so you understand it even better. The females are chasing away good men. So what's happening is that the females are never really contacting and interacting with men. I got you. And the males are not contacting women. Because why would a woman want a male? Wouldn't she want a man? And why would a man want a female? Wouldn't he want a woman? So men and women are not getting together. Because we're chasing each other off before we even have an opportunity to develop in what we should be. Because the initial turnoff with men, and again, I blame this on men. So everyone's clear. No, I blame this on males. So everyone's clear. Why? I explained this in the beginning of the lecture. Who directs the power?
Masculine energy.
Masculine energy. The masculine principle. So, can I say there are a lot of crazy females out here? Yes, and I will say it. They're crazy because we allowed them to be crazy. Because we didn't bring order when we should have brought order. The masculine principle brings order to the feminine chaos. Women are supposed to be crazy. That's their nature. That's how they create things. Through their craziness. I'm using the word crazy, but it's chaos. But I got to use crazy so you understand what it turns into. That beautiful chaos turns into crazy, and then crazy turns into insanity. And it's all because there wasn't a strong man from the very giddy up to say, sis, I love what you're doing over there, but tell you what, stop spilling your paint supplies all into the next room. All right, you could be as creative and as chaotic as you want in this space because I got to regulate this right here. Okay, that's what the order that the man brings that we have not been doing. Well, they have not. I do it. That's what's not happening, and that's why that boy got killed. And more boys are gonna get killed, and more females are gonna get. It's gonna keep happening as long as the males sit back here and theorize. The women are supposed to sit back and say and cry and mourn. And say, look at what they're doing to our babies. And you're going to feel real stupid when they take up arms. Because historically, women have been known to do that. And you don't want to fight against a woman. Anybody, any man in here ever had to engage a woman? Like had a woman attack them? Does it look like this? I'm a jab, it looks all over. Right. Why? Because she's chaos. When she goes after you, she's going to try to destroy you. You don't want to fight a woman. That's the significance. That's why the boy got killed. And I know as a spiritual leader and guide, I'm supposed to give you the spiritual answer. And there is a spiritual significance. But to be honest with you, brother, I don't even want to talk about the spiritual significance. Because then that's going to distract us from what we need to do as men. And as men, we need to reclaim these children, and we need to reclaim our women. And that's going to mean that we're going to have to take some L's. That means some women are going to say, who do you think you're talking to? That means some of these young boys are going to be like, yo, if you don't get out my face, I'm going to blow your head off. And you got to be ready to take that. Stop being weak. Life ain't all that great anyway. You can lose it. So a question.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, you first.
Basically, what I want to say is piggybacking on what you were saying about the women. Do you think we're having this issue because the roles have kind of been switched? Like I see like more women kind of taking on the male type of role, and it's like they're trying to be dominant and they want to be in control. You know.
Well, that's exactly what's happened, but it has happened by design. That hasn't happened because by nature you want to be a man. You know, you've been forced into that position because of not only systematic oppression, but because of also your bad decision making. So again, it's two sides to it. Certainly colonialism does exist. Certainly there are oppressive structures that are in place that want to feminize me and emasculate you. There's no doubt about that. But who's the ruler?